Hello guys, welcome to the second tutorial on the Django REST framework. Today we're going to talk about modules. Last time we talked about the URLs. Today we're going to talk about modules. So we're going to start from, we're going to create a new project, say Django, Django dash me dot project here. Okay. So this is the prompt to start a new project in Django, and it created a basis of our project here, and it's called tutorial. Okay, so once we do this, we're going to see the basic structure of our of our of our system based on the ideas of the Django REST framework, the Django framework. Okay, so this is the URLs, settings, ASGI, WSGI. So for now, we're going to deal with, since we talked about URLs last time, we're going to deal with settings. Firstly, we want to add our application to the settings. So in place of installed applications, we want to add the application that the project that we just started. It's called. So once we do this, we're going to create a new file. You can see that there is no modules file. We're going to create a file that says modules dot I. So within this one, we're going to create our definition of a new module. So what are modules? Modules are basically classes that define a table in your database. So this class is basically translated to the, the structure of the SQL database. Okay, so we define it in Python, but it is translated to the database that we want to. Okay, so we're going to say from Django.db import module. Django. Okay, so we're going to say class. We're going to create a new module. We're going to give it a name. Let's say modules code person. And within it, wants to inherit from modules, the modules. So we said this is all. We're going to create attributes that the person should have. So a first obvious one is the name. The name is equal to character field. Then we're going to put in the surname. Okay. Then we're going to put in the age of the person. So these are basic attributes that a person should. Okay, so we're going to define class within this one. We're going to call it str. Now these are very common functions in Python, and their job is to say, when you say print, what will be returned. So here what will be printed basically. If we were to print the person, what would be printed? So we want to print their name. Let's say their name plus their surname. And we put a little space. So when we try to print the person, the specific object of the person, we're going to get their name plus their surname. Okay, so that's the basics of a basic module created. So what's going to happen when we try to implement? What's going to happen is you're going to make what are called migrations. Then we're going to migrate them to the database. What this does is it creates a new table in the database by the name of person, which has these columns, which is name, surname, and age. Okay, so let's see this in action. What we're going to do is, firstly, make sure you save. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say Python. We're going to be dealing, this is a very important file within the Django REST framework, this manage.py. This is the one we use to make our migrations and to migrate and to run this. Basically the entry point of our project. Okay, so we're going to say Python tutorials /manage.py, and we're going to say make migration. So for initial migrations, I find it more useful to write the name of the application you want to migrate to, is tutorial. So we're saying Python tutorials slash manage.py make migrations. So tutorial slash manage.py is just the directory of where manage.py is. It's within tutorials manage. It's within tutorials. So this is relative to our working environment. We're working within the tutorial code. So we say tutorial slash manage.py. Then make migrations is the instruction to make the migration file. So we're going to see it in action in a couple of seconds. So once I press enter, I'm going to write migrations for tutorial, create module. Okay. So what you may have noticed is that it created a new folder that says migrations, and it has these two Python files, init and initial. So init will basically, it pops up every time you do the first migrations, but initial is the one we're going to be playing with here. It's the first migration that makes when you the first time you migrate. So this is basically information on how to create the new table in the data. So it says operations migrations dot create module name in the fields. So it's going to create a table and it's going to give it this fields. Okay. So to implement this, we have to say Python tutorials manage.py. Instead of make migrations, we're going to say migrate. And instead of tutorials, we can just give this. Thank you. And press enter. Once you do this, you see a bunch of stuff being written. So it has a couple of tables that are created due to just the Django REST framework and the installed applications. These are basic things like user management. It comes built in within the framework itself, and permissions and stuff and sessions. Okay, so once we do this, you should see that a new folder, a new database is created, an SQLite database with the name of db.sqlite3. If we open this database, you'd see that there are a bunch of tables, and amongst them there is tutorials lesson. Now this table has an ID, name, surname, and age, just as we defined in the modules. There's the name, surname, age. So ID created automatically because the tables in the database each one needs a unique identifier, an incrementing identifier that auto increments, which is the ID in the database, for them to all be unique. So ID auto creates every time you make a model. So we're going to leave it at that for today. That's the basics of dealing with models. We're going to continue on from there next.